Fellow Pelicans and friends of the UWI, welcome to Pelican Talks, a Google Hangout where we promote interactive and positive discussion about a variety of topics and engage our UE alumni across the Caribbean and the world. It's my pleasure to have as our very special guest today on Pelican Talks, Joy Spence. Welcome, Joy.
Hi. Welcome, fellow Pelican.
And Joy, I'd like you all to know, is the first female master blender in the world. And we're so proud of her and proud that she's from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, and is a UE graduate, a fellow Pelican. Now, Joy has many accomplishments, actually, but as a woman, I have to say that I think it's incredible that she's the first woman, the first female master blender ever, which goes to show how very male-dominated the spirits industry is. So there are now actually a total of 3 female master blenders in the world, but Joy remains the first and forever will be the first. We're so happy that her talent and her creativity have made her rise to the top, and I'm sure that Appleton Estate is thrilled that because of her, they are set apart from other rums. So Joy, you're a fascinating person. Let's begin with your Caribbean roots and heritage. Where were you born?
I was born in Mandeville, Manchester, Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed there for about till age 3. And then my parents decided to move it to Kingston for a better life.
I see. Are you from a large family?
No, not a very large family.
Okay.
But we're very close-knit.
Okay, good. And your family, I'm sure, are very proud of you. How do they view your success?
Oh, they are so ecstatic about my success, and every day they're on Facebook and Twitter following my various achievements, congratulating me. And, we have a little WhatsApp group and we communicate every day, about any and everything.
Okay, that's wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of school, once you got to Kingston, what school did you go to in Kingston?
Well, I went to micro practice in primary school, and that was a very wonderful experience for me. That's where I learned to become very free-spirited. Primary school, you just let loose and enjoy school. And after micro practicing, I went to Holy Childhood High and spent my years in up to GCO levels, and I did my A levels at Holy Childhood High. And then I entered UWI after that.
Okay, wonderful. So in terms of school, did you always love the sciences and chemistry in particular?
I actually fell in love with chemistry at age 13 because of my chemistry teacher. I used to stay back in the evenings and help her preparing the lab work for the upper school and became totally fascinated. I then became very experienced in lab preparation. And so I was even in a position to help the girls in the upper school with their chemistry problems.
Wow.
She was like a mother to me, my second mother. And in 4th form, she went on maternity leave and died in childbirth.
Oh, no.
Yes, it was a very emotional time for me. And I made a vow that I will become the best chemist I can in her honor.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? I didn't know that. That's amazing. What a trauma for you to go through at such a young age, though.
Yeah, it was very traumatic. I cried for about 2 weeks.
Yes, I can imagine. Well, you have certainly made her memory and honored her in every way possible. So she's smiling down, I am sure.
I'm sure she is.
Yes. So actually, we have a question from a student at our St. Augustine campus that has just typed it in, and she would like to know what exactly does it take to excel in the sciences, and how did you choose Master Blender, or did it choose you?
To excel in the sciences, my advice is always to, at the end of the day, from a lecture, for example, go over the material that you had for that particular day, and also look at different authors' perspective on the topic. And so you get a wider perspective on the topic. I thought that I would probably be working in some research laboratory, having graduated from UWI, I lectured for a short while and I decided I wanted to get some experience in industry. So I actually went to Tia Maria as a research chemist, worked there for 2 years. It was a one product operation and I have to multitask. So I became very bored. So J. Neville is right next door to Tia Maria. So I used to look out across the fence in my hours of boredom and say, but there's a lot of activity going on over that complex. Maybe I should send my resume over there. So I sent my resume and they invited me for an interview. And when I went for the interview, they said, we actually don't have any positions available. I said, okay, well, it was great doing this interview. So I went back over to Tia Maria. And then 2 weeks later, they called me to say they created a position for me
Oh,
because of
wow, that's amazing.
yes, with my resume and my interview. So I went over there as the chief chemist.
Ah, okay. Well, before we go into the whole story, let me get back to your studies at UWI. You studied chemistry at UWI, right?
Yes, I did.
And what was your experience like with your professors and?
I had the greatest professors in the world at UWI. Professor Ken Magnus, Professor Gerald Lader, Professor Chan, Dr. Roberts. I mean, when they did a lecture, you left there with great clarity. And I knew that I'd always get the highest marks in those particular areas. And so we were blessed to have had such great lecturers at the time.
And at the time, I suppose classes were a lot smaller when you went?
Classes were much smaller than how they are today. And you could have one-on-one discussions with your lecturers. You could stop them, in the main area and ask them a question or two. They'd invite you to their office to have further discussions. So it was very amicable. It was not a stiff environment at all.
And did you have opportunity to interact with students from other Caribbean islands? Was there more of a mix then?
The mix actually came in the medical faculty, where you had a lot of the students from the Caribbean islands entering medicine. We didn't have a lot of students from the Caribbean islands in that side at the time.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad you got at least a little bit of the Caribbean flavor. That's good. And I believe after UWI, you joined CAST first, UTech, as the chemistry lecturer.
Yes.
And how was it being a teacher there versus being a student? That role reversal.
Well, first of all, before I taught at CAST, I actually went back to my alma mater, Holy Child, and taught there for 2 years.
Okay, good.
And actually, I always remember meeting Novelet McKnight, Dr. McKnight.
Oh.
And I actually became the person who made her pursue chemistry as a passion, because she was so impressed with me as a chemistry teacher, because I taught them in a whole different style. I made it applicable to your day-to-day life. And so they found chemistry very interesting. And
wow.
Yeah, and then I met also an anesthesiologist recently, and she said, again, because of my teaching at Holy Child, that's how she decided to go into medicine.
Oh, amazing. So you've had such an impact and influence on so many women as well, not only, that's great.
So back to CAST now. So when I went there, I had some experience in teaching, and it was good being able to apply what I've learned at the UWI for this particular program, because it helped me to bridge the gap between industry and just straight chemistry, because it was more applied chemistry, letting them learn instrumentation, how to do lab analyses, etc. But then I got bored because I'd reached the top of my scale. And so I said, okay, let me go and try industry and see how the real world is like.
Okay. Okay. So you did your Master of Science after or before?
I did my Master of Science while I was still a lecturer at CAST, and I did it at the University of Loughborough in the UK. Again, that was just another incredible experience for me.
So was that distance, or you took time off, or
No,
how did
no,
that?
I was there for an entire year. It was a
Okay.
1 year program without any holiday breaks. So
Oh, intense.
half of the year was lecturing and doing theory, and then the other half was your thesis, where you had to come up with a particular type of analysis. And so you were scored both sections. But if you failed the theory, they didn't allow you to go on to do the thesis.
Oh, that's just a little bit of pressure there.
Yes, it is. It was.
Okay, so that was in analytical chemistry. And what you haven't told everybody, and I'm sure your listeners would want to know, is that you graduated there with top honors, including scores the highest exam grade ever achieved by a student at that university, and that record still stands today. That's pretty amazing.
It was amazing because when I went there, I was very fearful. Oh my gosh, I'm coming from UWI and I'm now going to this big university in the UK. Am I going to be a success? And after the first exam, I got like 98. I said, "Whoa, UWI, you gave me the good background, right?" And so I continued and got, I think, an average of 98 in the theory exams. And when I went to do the thesis, I got 100 on the thesis. I developed a whole new method for testing drugs, flow injection technology. Yes, and the drug company actually use it to actually do fluorescent testing for drugs after that.
That's absolutely incredible, Joy. You had so much impact in so many areas, from Jamaica to the UK. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, as you were saying, you decided to switch careers and you went to be a research chemist at
Yeah.
Tia Maria. And at Tia Maria, just before we leave that, were there a lot of women there, or were you the
No,
only one?
I was the only female in that
Hmm.
particular section. It's a very small area.
Hmm.
And so again, I became very bored. This is a very funny story. So the managing director realized that I have to multitask. So in the mornings, I would be the research chemist, and in the evening, I would go and do PR. So,
Oh,
so I would go out and promote the product. He says,
very
I need to keep you occupied.
Indeed, indeed. But it didn't work because you saw that Appleton was a busier complex. So you
Yes,
decided to go over there.
I decided to go over there, and
Mhm.
that's history now.
Yes. Well, it's amazing that they were so impressed with your resume that they created a position for you. And I'm sure looking back, they're still celebrating the fact that they made that choice and they made that decision to bring you in.
What
So,
was so funny is that the HR manager made a note on the file because it showed me like about 10 years later. And the note was, she's going to be getting very bored here. And I don't think she'll stay very long. And what, 37 years later, I'm still there.
well, that's because you make it exciting and you find new things to do. So
Oh,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
Um, And so while you were at Appleton, you met and worked with the estate's master blender, Owen Toller. And I'm told that working with him sparked a passion in you, and you learned the art of creating rum, the science of creating rum, as well as the art of creating rum. So how did that all come up?
Well, the chief chemist works very closely with the master blender. So he, at the time, would look at the sensory aspects and how the rums interact during aging. And then I'll provide the chemical side to show him the gas chromatography analysis, etc. And then we would compare both and decide, okay, we can now move on with this product, approve this particular product. But then that's when I discovered the world of sensory analysis and how fascinating it is and how you're able to differentiate so many different complex and beautiful flavors in rums. Because I have to tell you that before I joined Appleton, I never drank a spoonful of rum. And so I started to taste this amazing spirit, looking at it in a very different light, looking for complex flavors, how smooth and mellow it could be. And so he really helped me to hone my sensory skills. And he recognized that I had great creativity and I could combine both my artistry side along with my chemical side.
Okay, wonderful. So your initial journey at Appleton Estate was quite, I suppose, technical, and then he was able to recognize your talent and allow you to really blossom and bloom there.
Blossom and bloom.
Right. And I understand you're still actually the general manager for technical and quality
So
services.
I'm just holding the title of Master Blender.
Okay, now you're master blender.
So
Okay.
because I do a lot of promotions internationally, where I actually go and do master classes in all the various countries in the world. Last year was an extremely rough year for me because I actually went to over 14 countries worldwide, from Far East down to New Zealand and anything in between.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. When you are on your travels, do you come across a lot of Caribbean people or UE grads?
Yes, I do. And strangely enough, they will actually make an effort to come out to any event that I'm at. To say, to come and say, God, it's so great seeing you. And, I'm so proud of you. Jamaicans are always telling me how proud they are of me, and it's very touching.
Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So you've been credited with creating the most distinguished family of rums for the ultra premium Appleton Estate Jamaica Rum Collection. And can you tell us a little bit about the actual process from cane to glass and how you do the different flavors? And it's all
Okay.
very fascinating.
Well, to make it very simple, we
Yes, please.
have, yes, because so we don't get too mind boggled here with chemistry. You have two basic styles of rums: the pot still rum, which is a very flavorful and complex rum, and you can have many different variants in that category. Then there is a column still rum, which has very light fruity flavors such as pineapple, banana, coconut, and lychee aromas. And you can have many variants in that category. So when the individual variants are distilled at the Appleton Estate, we ship them via road tanker into Kingston to start the aging process, where we age in oak barrels. And we age them separately for different periods of time. But what happens during the aging process is very magical, and a lot of persons have actually done PhD work on the aging of rum, is that you get flavors such as vanilla, coffee, cocoa, hazelnut, and almond aromas actually developing in the rum as it ages. And it's actually the vanilla production in the rum that makes it so smooth and mellow. So the longer the rum sits in the oak barrel, the smoother and more mellow it becomes. So when you combine these different pot still rums and column still rums, different percentages and different ages, this is how you can create the different flavor profiles and the various expressions that we have in our range.
Oh, wow, that is fascinating.
It
Now,
is.
I understand that you have Appleton 50, which is the oldest in the world.
Yes.
Yes, and that you adhere to the English rule whereby the age of the rum on the bottle reflects the youngest in the bottle. Did I get it right?
Yes.
So if
Because
I buy a bottle
unfortunately,
of rum on the shelf which has 50.
for Jamaican rum, because I like to clarify that
Okay.
unfortunately the age statements in the rum industry is not an even playing field. So they
Oh,
have three ways of describing ages. So you have the minimum age system, which is similar to the British system, which is what we use. And when you see that number on our package, it is indicating that the youngest rum in that blend had to sit in the barrel for that period of time. You can have rums older. You have average age, where again you see a number on the package, but it is an average of older and younger rums. So it is not
ah,
a true minimum age. But the poor consumer gets totally confused and think that, oh, I'm now walking off with a minimum age rum. Then there is what you call Solero, where they actually put the age of the oldest rum in that blend, but it's not a minimum age. And again, consumers get confused when they see that number. They actually think it is a minimum age. So this is what we're trying to educate the consumers on when I do my master classes, to let them understand what true rums are.
okay. And so all the rums in the Appleton range are on the minimum age, the
Once we
English
have an
rule.
age declaration on the label.
Right, right.
So
Okay.
our 50-year-old, or Appleton Estate Joy Anniversary Blend, which is a 25-year-old rum, or Appleton Estate 21-year-old, and our Rare Blend 12-year-old.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So I hope everybody learned something this morning. I'm sure they did. Okay. And then I heard the expression also about marrying the blend. Is that what you were talking about before with the different flavors, or is that a different
Yes.
thing?
So when we combine the different variants of rums, we leave them to marry, because we can have blends that have as much as 20 different components in them. So we leave them to marry so all the flavors can fuse and come together. Just like when a new couple, they just got married, they have to understand each other's personalities. Same thing with when we blend the rums together. Leave them to marry for a while.
Okay, okay. Okay, well, at least you are ensured always of a successful marriage, whereas maybe people are not so much. Okay, so for many, especially women, you are a trailblazer. You've broken the glass ceiling in the world of top spirits. And I'd like to know, would you consider yourself a feminist as per se, or you just support the role of women?
I am no feminist. I just support the role of women. You can have excellent male master blenders. I just do what I have to do to the best of my ability.
Okay, great. I'm now getting a question from a student at the Mona campus asking about advice you would give young women about succeeding in business. I suppose if you're in a male-dominated industry, it must have been more difficult. So any words of wisdom?
The first thing I would advise them to do is not to focus on gender. Just give 100%, be passionate, be humble, and always think outside the box, and you'll be successful.
Very sage advice. Thank you. Oh, and now a graduate of our Cave Hill campus in Barbados wants to know if you have faced challenges professionally ever because of your gender.
And when I tell persons my experience, they tend to find it very funny, because where I have issues with my gender, my profession is actually at customs and immigration in whatever country I go to. Because when they ask you, what is your profession? I say, I'm a master blender for rums. And they look up in the sky. I've actually got the response, this is the best excuse I've ever had for a profession. And that happened to me in Miami airport.
Oh, no.
And the customs officer who was sitting beside the one that was being very sarcastic recognized me from the travel channel. He jumped off his chair, ran over, shook my hands and said, you are the rum lady. You know how long I wanted to meet you? I saw you on Travel Channel. Of course, my customs officer, who was very cheeky, had to, go backwards and, apologize profusely.
Good. Very good.
Being a Jamaican, I said, really? Now, what Jamaican woman would be a master blender for rums? I even got asked a question in Miami. Miami is always giving me problems. So what bars do you age in? When I told him. So when I rolled it off, but it's really true.
Well, I'm glad that you're such a good representative and can stand up to all of these comments.
Oh, yes. I represent my country strongly.
There we go. Good, good. Okay, so you have helped open up the field of master blending to other women. For example, Brugal, which is a premium rum from the Dominican Republic, has Jacil Villanueva, and now Zacapa,
yes,
which is from Guatemala, has Lorena Vasquez.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm sure they are, happy that you blaze the trail for them. Are you in touch with them, or do you?
Not. We speak about each other in interviews. I haven't actually physically met Lorena, but we have great respect for each other, and we talk about each other in master classes, etc. And I know she's happy that I was given the opportunity, so it paved the way for her, because she was actually there in the wings doing the work, but just not being given the title.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's wonderful. So she could say, well, there is one in the world. Her name is Joy Spence, and I want to be just like her. That's great. I had a question from our open campus in St. Lucia, which I think you mentioned before, but maybe they hadn't tuned in then. They're asking if you travel a lot to see what others in the industry are doing.
Yes, I travel extensively to various countries worldwide to see, most importantly, how premium aged rum is growing in the markets. And I will go into emerging markets to actually help to start the ball rolling and start the story of premium aged rums. And yes, so excellent. Actually last year I I actually went to launch the Appleton Estate range in Argentina. They were launching it for the first time.
Oh, good. So you're putting our footprint all over the world.
All over.
What is your philosophy about life in general, to both for alumni and students, I think, because I think they definitely admire you for everything that you've done?
I believe in enjoying life because you never know what tomorrow brings. And I've seen so many of my friends, die of heart attacks in recent times, or, they die from cancer. And I said, I'm going to live each day as it is the last day in my life. So I'm always having a party. The slightest thing, so let's get together and celebrate. And I bring home, all my good friends from way back 30 years ago and say, let's just have a good time. For example, this weekend I'm taking them to see the new Spence Appleton Estate Rum Experience, where they can actually enjoy the facility and learn more about their good friend Joy.
Indeed. Actually, I have to share with you that I went on the Appleton Rum Tour and I had a fabulous time. It was with a group of my girlfriends and we really had a wonderful experience. It's something that I would definitely recommend. At the time, it wasn't called Joy Spence, so it wasn't quite as special, but it's something I can recommend. It's a really good product and really does you proud in terms of educating people and interesting them in that industry.
The new facility is breathtaking. It is the best in the entire Caribbean. And so you need to revisit and come and enjoy the new experience.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we should recommend it to our alumni who are visiting Jamaica as one of the things that they have to do. So I'll have to speak to your marketing people about that and see how we can get that organized. But I think it's something that people would really enjoy. I mean, because I went down from Kingston for the day and it was a wonderful day. And it's something you can do quite easily in a day from wherever you come to in the island,
Yes, because we're right in the middle of the island, so it's easy to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, Kingston is very easy from the west end of the island. The roads could be a little bit bumpy, but
it's worth it. I have to tell everybody it's definitely worth it.
Yes, it is.
So do you have any other interests in terms of daily life?
Yeah, I love gardening, so I have a lot of orchids. I like to do interior decorating. I'm very creative, so I do anything that is arty. And I just like rafting on the Rio Grande, just relaxing, drinking some Appleton Estate Reserve. Or going to New Zealand on the glacier by helicopter and actually drinking Appleton with the glacial ice. That was such a memorable experience.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And it was where they actually filmed The Lord of the Rings. So I was actually looking down on Milford Sound, on the glacier. Oh, unforgettable.
I'm sure. That's wonderful. And Appleton Rums just made it even better.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, you've received many awards, and really there are too many to list, but I think our listeners to Pelican Talks would be interested to know that you've received, in 2005, you received the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer from the government of Jamaica for your service and contributions to the spirits industry. In 2014, you were recognized for your outstanding contribution at the International Spirits Challenge. You got an honorary doctorate from the University of the West Indies as one of our special graduates in 2012. And I'm so glad that we recognized you then. And in 2017, just last year, you were awarded the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander, CD, by the government of Jamaica in recognition of your contribution to the promotion of Jamaica's rum industry and brand Jamaica globally. And you've been named one of the most influential women in food and drink by the prestigious Food and Wine magazine in partnership with their sister publication, Fortune magazine. So I would just like, on behalf of all alumni, to congratulate you on all of that.
Thank you.
And I think, as we've been talking, you've mentioned a couple of things, but I'll just reiterate, because Appleton has also recognized you. As you mentioned, you have a rum named after you. You created the Joy Anniversary Blend in 2017, which was released to mark your 20th anniversary as Appleton Estates Master Blender. And then in 2018, as you just said, the Appleton Rum Tour has now been named in your honor. So it's the Joy Spence Appleton Estate Rum Tour. And we are really recommending that all alums come to Jamaica and experience that. So that's fabulous. In terms of your anniversary blend, the Joy Anniversary Blend, can you describe it a little bit in terms, is it how is it special?
Well, first of all, it was very special when I found out that they were actually going to name the rum Joy, because we had another code name for it. And when I heard, okay, we've decided that we're going to call it Appleton Estate Joy Anniversary Blend, I said, wow, how many master blenders have actually had a rum with their name on it? So I said, I have to make this rum extremely special, a rum that not only rum connoisseurs would enjoy, but whiskey and cognac connoisseurs. So I looked at the rum stocks and I selected my favorite 25-year-old pot still rum. And I looked at 35-year-old column still rum, and I blended other rums together and created this amazing liquid that has a distinctive orange peel top note, intertwined with ginger, nutmeg, vanilla, coffee, and cocoa, and finishing with a nice brown sugar finish. The sip of that rum is just amazing, unforgettable, and it just lingers and lingers and lingers.
Wow, sounds divine.
Yes, it is very delicious. And what was very touching for me is that the allocation for Jamaica, because we only did a little under 1,000 cases for the entire world, and each country had their own allocation. And the Jamaica's allocation was sold out in 2 weeks. The Jamaicans, were so passionate about buying this rum that was named in my honor. The workers in the bottling hall, everywhere you went, people said, where can I get Joy to buy? Where can I get Joy to buy? I mean,
amazing. I'm getting goosebumps.
People came to my gate asking me to sign the bottles. I mean, I've signed so many bottles at my home. It was just a very rewarding feeling, and to see that my Jamaican peeps supported me so strongly.
That's so nice. That's so nice. Well, congratulations. I think that's absolutely fabulous. So in terms of your favorite cocktails now, I understand you also have a cocktail that you created called the Joy?
The Joy, yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
I wanted to create a cocktail that was easy for persons to make at home, so you didn't have to go through shakers and strainers, etc. So I simply pour in a glass your 1 ounce of your Appleton Estate Reserve. I would put a few drops of Angostura bitters, and then I would muddle just the pulp of a slice of orange in it to get the orange flavor profile in it. Top it up with ginger ale and cracked ice, and absolutely delicious.
Wow, sounds wonderful. I mean, I don't drink rum either, but everything you said today, I think I need to go and sample something.
Oh, yeah.
And get a bottle of
looking at
Joy.
rum. Yes.
So now that
we still have a few bottles of Joy available at the Joy Spence Appleton Estate Rum Experience. So if you go down there very quickly, you might be able to buy the last bottles available in Jamaica. Because we held back a few just for the opening of the rum experience.
Wonderful. Yes, I think I'm going to persuade my husband to go on the tour with me. That sounds wonderful.
Great.
I know as well that you have said that you're also committed to promoting sciences in schools, which I think is so wonderful. And you have given motivational speeches at high schools, colleges, and universities across Jamaica. How did you get started in that? Is something that just was kind of an offshoot of what you were doing and people asked you to come and it's kind of snowballed from there?
Yes, they first started with Holy Childhood, who asked me to come and speak to the girls. And then it just mushroomed. Andrews, I've been doing a lot of talk at Andrews. Then I went to community colleges, university, and it just mushroomed. And what is so touching is that I kept telling them to think outside the box for the careers. Because, everybody's just in this traditional, you must be a lawyer or a doctor, and that's it. And I tell them that you can apply what you have learned and go into very exciting fields. And one mother came to me about 3 years after I did one of the talks at Andrews, and she says, that my daughter has now gone to the UK to learn distilling. she was actually going to do medicine. And after my talk, I convinced her to go and learn about distilling.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. As I said, you know, you really have inspired a lot of people. But what will have you, throughout looking back on your life, what have been your major inspirations and influences in your personal and professional life?
In my professional life, I think I have been able to help my staff grow both as professionally and also in their personal lives, because I'm always, letting them, go and do further studies, sit down and be a tutor with them, encourage them to buy their homes, encourage them to buy a car, and so it's very fulfilling when you see somebody just joining the organization, green, with just basic knowledge, and they've become so skillful in their profession, and they've been able to, own their own homes, because, I believe in, encouraging in that.
Yes.
In my personal life, I spend a lot of time both, and also financially, helping persons that are not as fortunate as me and that are close to me. So my gardener's children, my helper's children, anybody, my painter's children, anybody who, so I really assist them financially. I encourage them to do very well in school, to let them know that I reach where I am because of education. I didn't come from a wealthy background. And so, I feel very, very honored when I see that they've become very successful in what they're doing, and they're passionate about what they're doing.
Very good. And I think that's wonderful that you've influenced so many people and inspired so many people. And also, as you said, giving them the message that independence is achieved through education, and that they can really excel in whatever they do as long as they're passionate about it. So you are the living example of all of that. So it's wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much, Joy, for being our guest. I hope everyone who has been listening has enjoyed today's Pelican Talk with our distinguished guest, Joy Spence, the world's first female master blender. I'd like to thank Howard Shand, our digital media and database manager, who facilitates this Google Hangout. And we look forward to joining us on our next Pelican Talks as we engage alumni across the Caribbean and the world in novel and enriching exchanges. I'm sure everyone today, Joy, is now going to be much more interested in rum than they ever were before because of this talk. So it really was quite fascinating. And I do hope, too, that you'll come up to UE and share some of your experiences. And I'd like to invite you to come and be a guest at some of the Jamaica chapter talks that they're hoping to have to engage alumni more in the actual life of the campus. We have a new president, and she has really embrace the new vision of engaging alumni. So I know just based on your personality and what you've said and the way that you impact, I'm sure you're going to be part of that whole experience. So thanks once again. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And until next time, remember to show your Pelican pride. Thank you.
And thanks for having me on your program, and look forward to many more Pelican Talks.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Thank you very much, Joy.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.